So in this chapter, we get a breakdown of how the preliminaries are going to run with this tournament, and we see that Sasuke is set to face off against Yoroi.
Naruto number 66, Sakura's advice.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and prospective Chunin, but junior level Jonin of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and adventure-filled and just battle-bound tale of Naruto. Now, our last chapter, of course, saw us with really them starting to lay the groundwork for what is to be the third phase of the exam, and really that's going to be the one where they're going to be under a microscope, and it's going to very much be akin to like a nationally televised event where many are going to be watching from all around, all the nations. But prior to that, they wind up finding out, we find out through this gentleman Hayate, that they're going to actually have to do these preliminaries to kind of weed out some of the candidates. 21 is apparently too much. The chapter ends off with them saying anybody who does not want to do this and go to these preliminaries, it may be life or death going into this, and then of course the third phase, is welcome to take a step forward and we'll let you go. You know, no harm done, no harm, no foul. So it was kind of a shocker to me at the end of the chapter. Kabuto stepped forward and was like, I'm done. It's like, what the hell? So that's where the chapter left off. That's right where the chapter picks up. And I've seen a couple things in the comments, and I did this with Zabuza as well. I called him Zabuza, and it's actually Zabuza. You put more emphasis on the first part of it. And apparently it's not Kabuto, it's Kabuto. Personally, there's not really that much of a difference, and it's almost negligible to the point that I don't really care. But I understand how when I was watching Attack on Titan in Japanese with the English subtitles, I kept calling Mikasa, Mikasa, and they call her Mikasa. And put a different emphasis on it in the English dub version. So, and it is slightly different coming off the tongue. So I'll try to remember that it's Kabuto. Kabuto. Anyway, so things pick up, and pretty much Naruto's like, "What the fuck, Chuck? What's going on with this, right?" And he just says, he goes, "Listen, prior to even starting the exams, my ears still busted out from the altercation with the sound ninjas. Man, this is life or death over here, and we got the crap beat out of it. I'm just not feeling up to the challenge right now." We all know that he's obviously a spy for Orochimaru. What we do find out though, because Hade tells him, "Hey, go ahead, that's cool, you can leave." What they forgot to tell us right off the bat is that it's no longer a team event in the sense that you can quit and you're not going to let the rest of your cell down. So Yuri, and the other guys with him, I forget his name. They're fine still, even though he decided to go and bow out of this one. So really what winds up happening is we find out that through a little bit of information exchange between Anko and the Hokage, that this is his 6th time taking the exam, because they're a little bit wary of why he just all of a sudden dropped out now after you make it past phase 2. And apparently, he's his low to average marks in pretty much everything. He's pretty much like he's like the best spy ever in a sense, because there's nothing that makes him stand out from the pack. He's not overly vicious, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. It's just pretty much run-of-the-mill average or a little bit below. I mean, they said it took him three tries just to wind up going and passing the initial exam to be able to get into being a ninja, right? So, nonetheless, though, this information I thought was kind of good, because what we wind up finding out is that the one thing that does kind of make him stand out from the crowd is that at the Battle of Kikyo, I believe it was, that at that battle there was a Jonin level medical officer that wound up basically bringing back a child from the battlefield, an enemy combatant child from the battlefield. I don't know what country was fighting who or when or what, but apparently that is Kabuto, right? That's him. So that kind of gives you some insight into his whole deal and what's going on with him, and obviously being the spy for Orochimaru. And again, I feel like there's some great power within him that we haven't seen yet. But really what it is he kind of takes a step back, and you can see that even him and the rest of his cell don't get along very well, because they're kind of like, hey, that Yoroi was telling him, hey, Orochimaru's gonna not be having this and that, and Kabuto's like, listen, it's fine. Tell you what, Chief, I'll do what I'm gonna do. You do you. I'll do me. You do you. You don't worry about it. We'll meet in the middle there. And besides, ever since I got promoted or whatever, you've been itching to be, nipping at my heels, so to speak. So go ahead, take the spotlight. It's fine, So anyway, we wind up finding out as we kind of get past all that and everything that that these preliminaries that they're going to hold, and apparently either it was a lost in translation thing or I made a little bit of a mistake a couple chapters back when I said that in 5 years no one had actually they had actually gotten to phase 3. Not enough people had. What it was is that in 5 years there had never been an overabundance of people to get to phase 3, to where they actually had to do these preliminaries, which are pretty much like, hey, we got too many candidates we can't have this many people going into phase 3, so we got to just kind of dwindle them down. So now there's not 21 anymore, there's 20, and we find out that actually what is going to happen is the next phase, or the preliminary part, I guess, before you go into this phase, is going to be a tournament. It's going to be like a trial by combat type deal, right? There's this like electronic flipboard that's going to go and just randomly pop up 2 names, and they're getting started right away. No rest for the weary or the wicked, right? And whatever 2 names come up, they got to go in there and fight. They either fight to the death, or until somebody is unable to, of course, compete anymore, or until somebody yields or gives in. And they said that in certain cases, if it's such a one-sided beating or whatever, and they think that, you know, there may be somebody's life in danger or whatever, they decide that they want to step in, that the powers that be can actually step in and stop a match, but don't count on that shit, because it doesn't happen often. That's how they put it to us. So I thought that was pretty cool, and then kind of going and thinking that anybody could be facing off against anybody now, right? There's one point too where Sakura is actually like, you know, Sasuke, you better go and, you know, you should check out now. You know, that bite from Orochimaru and everything else is causing you problems and pain and this and that. And he's basically like, back off, bitch, I don't have nothing to do with you. And she's like, no, but Sasuke, I'm telling you. And she's trying to step in, and she really is just concerned for him. Is it a little bit whiny and a little bit clingy? Yeah. Is it a little bit overbearing? Sure. But she cares about him, and she sees that he's in some pain, right? So, and then that this is going to be tough for him. So, as she goes to kind of like grab at his hand or whatever, he basically just kind of like shakes her off and is like, back off, bitch. Leave me be. This is my deal. This is what I want to do. He doesn't care about anything else. He doesn't even care about becoming a Chunin, right? He doesn't even care about that. He just wants to go and test his might, so to speak, and see how good he is against other opponents. And Naruto goes to try to step in and tell him to back up, and why are you acting like that to Sakura? And he's just like, you better shut your mouth. You're one of the people I want to fight, Naruto. I thought that was great. Naruto was just like, oh shit, right? So basically for Sasuke, whether it's that mark that's talking on him or what, I don't really know. Anko and the Hokage wind up having a little bit of a talk about things, and they're thinking about just, you know, basically going and putting him under lock and key, under quarantine, under black ops, surveillance agents, whatever, and taking him completely out of the exams, you know, to monitor what's going on, because Anko, who also has a similar bite or curse mark, whatever, you know, they explain it. It's some kind of ancient art that's some kind of ancient lost art that basically this is like this debilitating type of thing that under normal circumstances it should have killed someone else, anyone else that had gotten it, you know. So they're obviously very worried for him, but really ultimately at the end of the day they decide that they're going to keep watching him, but they're going to keep on with the Chunin exams, and of course with Sasuke in those exams. And I think a lot of it's because of the warning from Orochimaru. So very cool stuff, man. This is heating up, and there's a lot of different little twists and turns and little caveats to the plot that you're like, oh shit, and you're just pulling this out of the air and pulling that. I love it. It's beautiful. So anyway, the chapter winds up ending up though with the first 2 names coming up, and we've got Sasuke Uchiha, you know, and then of course this Yoro, it's Y-O-R-O-I, so Yoroi, Yoro. I can't pronounce his name exactly, so I'm sure someone will correct me on it. And if not, if he's a character that's probably going to be here today, gone in a few chapters, then maybe nobody will even care. But nonetheless, I do try. So they wind up, that's going to be those 2, and Sasuke is like, oh, alrighty, okay, alright, that's cool, get it started good. And this Yoroi character, he of course wants a change. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Kabuto is obviously farther along the path than he is, higher up in the rank or whatever, in the Orochimaru dick-sucking club or whatever, swinging from Orochimaru's weird reptilian nuts club. Apparently Kabuto's got a front seat, and Yoroi's still kind of back of the bus, so he's wanting to prove himself. So for him, this is an ultimate thing. And then actually the last page of the chapter I thought was done pretty well. It's these 2 just standing there, You know, it's kind of like this. And I like some of these perspective shots that Kishimoto does too. That's something that also, I can tell you as an artist, is not as easy to do. And these perspective shots where it looks like the camera is underneath looking up at them, making them look just more menacing and appearing. And it's really cool because they explain the rules and blah, blah. And they're like, you know, is everything cool? And he's, you got any questions? And he's just like, none. And he's like, nah, I'm good. So that's how the chapter ends off, man. And I really can't wait to see some of these pairings and things and how they go. So my chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is really, what were your thoughts on Kabuto and him dropping out like he did? His kind of mentality of live to fight another day, the best kind of spy, can sort of, you know, wreak havoc from within, but also kind of see things from the sidelines, can transmit. What were your thoughts on him? Because to me, it was pretty abrupt, and it seemed almost like, huh? Okay, out of all the, if you've been a spy for Orochimaru the whole time, out of all the ones that were important that you were in out of the last 5 or 6 years, this would probably be the most important because Sasuke's testing this year, right? And that's obviously who Orochimaru bit and kind of has his eyes on, you know, his grubby little weird reptilian snake-like paws and whatever. But let me know what your thoughts are on Kabuto dropping out. And then, of course, on the upcoming battle as well between Yoroi and Sasuke. I think that Sasuke will wind up crushing him, but that's just my personal opinion. So, and of course, my limited knowledge on the series, I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. So, feel free to leave, well, obviously, you can leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Remember to subscribe to my other channels and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram too.